Hey guys, welcome to my channel. If you watched my previous video, I'm doing a 300-kilometer hiking challenge this year. And as a geologist, for me, I like to do photos and videos of rocks and surroundings around me. And one of the things that I look for when I'm doing my video is the ease of operation of the camera. And so action camera is one of the cameras I go to very often. And I'm very excited because a company named PIXAERO sent me a lens to try with my E camera. And the beauty of this lens, it lets you adjust sharpness from macro to infinity, and supposedly it has no minimum distance of focus, so you can have your subject as close as 1 millimeter to the lens and it will still let you focus on that subject. So let's go test it out. Before we jump in to see some footage taken with the lens, I just wanted to mention that PIXAERO didn't pay me anything for the review, nor did they tell me what to say. They simply sent me the lens and asked me to check it out. But enough chit chat, let's look at some footage. First, I wanted to see if the lens can truly do sharp macro shots. After all, that is the whole purpose of this lens. As you can see, it performed beautifully. I was really impressed with how sharp the focus is and the quality of the footage that came out. The beauty of this lens is that it lets you focus really close to the subject. As a geologist, it lets me see all the grain on this rock. But also, I happen to have an E action camera, so PIXAERO sent me a specific lens for this specific camera with a focal length of 3.77 millimeters and an f-stop of 2.8. But if you happen to have a GoPro or an Osmo action camera, PIXAERO also makes lenses for those cameras. So I will leave some links below and you can check it out and see if this lens is right for you. Also, if you happen to miss my previous video about hiking in the mountains, I happen to use this camera and this lens, and there's some epic footage, so cue that footage now. It was way too cold to continue to film outside, so I thought I'd move this party inside, make me some tea to warm up, and continue talking lenses here where it's warm. Now, keep in mind, I'm not a tech review channel. If you are interested in specifically technical details about this lens, how to install it, I will link some channels below so you can check them out. But what I want to talk about is from a consumer side, what I liked about this lens and what I didn't like about this lens. I've been using this lens for just over a month now, so I've tested it in a variety of situations. And I thought I'd talk about points, positives and negatives. I thought it would be only fair for me to mention both so you can decide if this is something that you like. So first, let's start with positives. First thing, so this is the E camera, both of the E cameras. This is the original lens and this is the PIXAERO lens. As you can see, the size of those lenses is pretty much identical. So the PIXAERO lens is very small. It feels like it's a native lens to the camera. And that brings me to my next point, the macro shots. And this is why I'm doing this review. This is why I love this lens, is the versatility that it gives me in the field. This lens allows you to do macro shots, whereas the original lens, because it's a wide shot lens, it doesn't let you focus really close to the subject. As you can see, side-by-side comparison, the PIXAERO lens lets you have that really crisp focus really close to your subject. And I can't wait to try and use it in the summer where there's actually things going on. There are like bugs and rocks and not just ice. So I can't wait to use it. And that means that if you are hiking or doing a lot of field work and you don't want to carry your heavy gear, this lens allows you to do it all. It has a wide angle and it has micro shots, so you can do a variety of shots with just this little teeny bitty camera and not carry a DSLR like I usually do with 50 different lenses and risking chances of slipping from a rock cliff. This would let me do a lot more shots in a much safer way. And also on a wide angle, when you're shooting with a wide angle on this lens, it doesn't have that really strange fisheye distortion like the original lens has. So I don't know, it's not a big deal, but if it is made, I thought I'd mention that. And and like I mentioned before, they have this lens for different cameras. So if you have a GoPro or DJI action camera, you can install this lens as well. And actually on their channel they have a review with the DJI action camera, I believe. So if that's the camera you have, check them out below and see the footage from them. Now, nothing in life is perfect, technology especially, so I thought I'd talk about some drawbacks of this lens. Now, first one doesn't apply to everyone. It applies to people that kind of live in a North Pole like I do, in freezing temperatures, and that's because it's so small. You need the dexterity of your fingers to get that really crisp focus, because you have to kind of like focus it manually. That means you have to take your gloves or mittens off every time you shoot. At least I did. I couldn't get it just right with my mitten. It was too clunky, too big. That means you're sort of risking of losing your fingers because it's too cold. But to be fair, the battery on this camera would probably die before you lose your fingers, so not a big issue. And again, most of my subscribers are from more warm climates, so don't worry about that part. The next sort of a drawback, it's not like a DSLR camera or like a mirrorless camera with interchangeable lenses. You can't just unscrew this lens and put the original one back on. There's a little bit of a process on how to install it. So once you install it, you sort of committed to this lens. Again, not a big issue for me because you get a range with this lens, so I don't see why you would want to put the original one back on. You can if you want to, you just can't do it in the field, kind of like it's not a 1 second situation happening. And that brings me to my last drawback. Again, doesn't apply to me, but I thought it would be fair for me to mention. Even the PIXAERO themselves mention this, is once you install the PIXAERO lens, you lose the water seal that you have with the original camera. So if you're doing a lot of underwater work, you want to put a housing, like a water housing on your camera to protect the camera. Now, where I live, first of all, we don't have a lot of water, and the water we have is usually in ice form. So there's not a lot of underwater anything happening. So not a huge issue for me, but if you happen to live and do a lot of underwater shots, just make sure you do your research before. And finally, that brings me to my conclusion. Would I recommend this lens, and to who I would recommend it? I would absolutely recommend it. I would not recommend anything that I didn't personally like to my subscribers. I don't think it's fair. So the only reason I made with the deal with PIXAERO, I told them that I would only review this if I like this lens, and I did. So I would recommend it to people that do a lot of hiking and don't want to carry a lot of heavy gear with them, but still want to have that versatility in their footage and do the macro shots. This is perfect. This lens solves that problem and does a really beautiful job doing macro shots and wide shots as well. And a lot of and I would recommend it for geologists if you're doing field work. This allows you to do close-up shots of rocks, of texture of rocks, and bugs if you like bugs. So that's kind of the conclusion. So check them out. Like I said, links below, and I hope to see you in my next video. Please subscribe and stay safe out there, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.